Hello, everybody. So, for today's podcast, we had James over. We spoke to him. He works as as a senior system admin in Toronto, Canada. He knows quite a few things about how the IT market works, how the IT support, IT systems admin side of things work. So we spoke a lot about that. How life is in Toronto in general, and a bunch of other things. So let's dive in. James Leon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Talk to me, man. How you been?
It's been great. Life has been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Recently moved to a new job. I've been at the new job for 2 months now. I was at my previous company for 3.5 years, so it's a big transition for me, and with all the personal stuff going on, so it's been better nowadays. So
It's hard to manage everything right at once because if things are going on in your personal life,
yeah,
it kind of affects your work life, and then like it's a whole thing, right? You have
definitely
to.
yes.
It's hard to keep everything going every single like on an everyday basis because like for me or for like international students or whatever who
Hmm.
leaves their family and who comes over here, it's hard like emotionally, like things are going on back home, there's stress problems, and then like you come here and then you have to manage your day, your jobs, studies, and everything at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's difficult to manage everything, right?
yeah,
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 yeah.
definitely. That's why you need to plan all your life and get a good balance of work and personal life, right?
Yeah, yeah, you gotta do things with that kind of keeps you fresh and happy as well. Yeah. So I want to talk to you about the new job. What's your title? What do you do?
Right. So my title at the new job is a senior systems admin. I'm working at a in the public sector, so it's a Ontario Crown agency.
Nice. So what's what are the duties that the senior systems admin kind of has to do on their day to day, or overall duties? What does the system
Hmm.
admin do? Just for the context for the viewers to know.
Hmm.
Very good friends with James. Used to work in a previous company together. We worked for a good few months, and then we kind of just bonded, and now we're here, right? So it
Yeah.
was a good, like, we've always been in kind of IT. Were you always in IT?
Yep. I
Yeah.
started my career in IT, and I'm still in IT.
Okay, so we're
Yeah.
gonna talk all about the whole journey of your career and
Sure.
everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's a systems admin, senior systems admin do?
Senior systems admin. Of course, I work in the Microsoft space. So, or the corporation I've worked for, organization I've worked for, they're mainly in the Microsoft stack. So, anywhere in Office 365, Azure, Intune, device management, um, deal work with other security teams, cybersecurity teams to implement security measures, as well as assisting our network engineers and to improve our network infrastructure.
Nice. Um, so system admins. We're gonna talk about your path to system
Hmm.
admin
Yep.
because that's kind of, I think that's an information that the viewers might want to know.
Hmm.
So let's just, I guess, dive into IT because we already started talking about IT.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
how did you get into? You said you were always in IT. What did
Yep.
you study?
So I study computer networks and technical support in Seneca.
Of course, yeah, yeah. Oh
Yes,
yeah, we talked about it.
yeah, yeah. I know a lot of people are took that program, and they're doing really well in IT as well. And so I started my right after I graduated. I started in IT support as my first job. I was there for 2 or 3 years, I believe, as a back office IT support specialist. And then I moved to the second organization I worked for, which is also IT support. I was there for about a year, and then I eventually moved to desktops and systems administration. That was my previous role, and now I am currently a senior systems administrator.
Did you have to become a systems admin before you became senior systems admin, or because of your experience, because of your past experience, they already give you the senior system admin title?
Yeah, so I believe it's because I had experience in the past, which translated into my current role as a senior systems admin. I don't believe that you can just go straight into a senior systems admin role without any prior experience.
Right.
Yeah.
For people, if they want to get into IT,
Hmm.
and if they don't have, let's say, any certifications or
Right.
diploma, is there still ways to get into IT?
It's definitely tough. It's definitely tough if you don't have the background education or any certifications. I would still, my suggestion is to, if you don't want to take school and go through the 2, 3, 4 years of programs, I would certainly start with a certification first, like the A+ certificate, or even the Net Plus. The Net Plus would be more intermediate, but if you start with the A+, you would get a good understanding of computers, and that could, once you get the certification, I think that you could start applying for an entry IT support job, and that can help you start the career in IT.
So, do you think IT support is the way to go to start a career in IT? If somebody who's beginning their career
Well,
just with
it really
certification?
depends what you want to do in IT, right? IT is very broad. There's different paths to it.
Yeah.
It depends what you want to do. If you want to be if you want to go into security, or if you want to go into networks, and there's like DevOps, right? That's
So yeah, what
mhm.
kind of other paths are there? So
What other
security,
path?
network, yeah.
Right, security, networks, DevOps, or if you want to be a programmer. So I want to say software engineering is IT, but it could be. Um, but I think in IT is mainly like DevOps, security, and networks, right?
Networks, yeah,
And
yeah.
then, so if you want to, it really depends what you want. But I strongly feel that for security and networks, you need a good uh, understanding of how computers and how networks work, right? So
Yeah.
to gain all of that knowledge, the IT support or IT desk, help desk entry role would really help you in that, because you can see a lot of different cases that comes in, and you would be curious on how to resolve those issues, and do that experience. You could translate yourself into that admin role, or network admin role, or a cybersecurity role.
Yeah. So,
Right.
and I also think that the admin roles are kind of fading away now.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly, oh, I must say, the server admins or the network admins.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're kind of fading away, and it's
Yeah.
all becoming cloud now. So, like you said, your company that you work in right now,
Mm-hmm.
it's all Microsoft based. But depending on the company's level, there can also be Google and there can also be AWS services. Um, but then if you get into certificate, if you get into those cloud, it's like, I think, do you think it gives you more opportunities? Do you think the server part, like the physical server part, is going away and everything is transitioning into cloud now?
I believe a lot of companies are transitioning to the cloud, but on-prem servers still exist, and
Right.
a large portion of them are still exist in on-premises servers, right? And they're not that much more different between managing servers on premises versus on the cloud. So that skill that you learn from just on premises servers, could use that experience and transition into the cloud, right? So they're not that much more different. The fundamentals still exist, and it's still there, and it would definitely help.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But in this is us. We're talking about the support cloud admin side of things, right? But
Hmm.
there's more, just for the viewers to know. There's
Hmm.
also like network side and security side, which you can go deeper into,
Hmm.
and there's also certifications and everything that you can do in security side as well, right?
Hmm.
So depending on what you want to do. But I guess for us, we started as IT support, and
Right.
then
Right.
we are kind of admins or analysts,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
um, Working in different companies, like you have all these, like,
Right.
how was
Right.
the interview process? Do you think there is any key pointers at this point that you have learned, remembered? Because I know in IT usually there's three stages. There's like for interview first, usually interview second,
Right.
so HR, and then the next one. um, Explain to us how the interview process, in the support role and the admin role ish, because that's what we know.
Right.
So how does that interview process works? And do you have any like key pointers? Or so let's start with, how does the interview process work? Let's have
Right.
the
Right.
viewers understand.
So the interview process is it's similar. They usually do 3 stages, right? The HR screening, and then they would do a technical assessment with the managers or hiring managers, and then if you usually, if you get through the second round, if you pass the technical test, then then the last round would be you meet one of the executives, and then if they're okay with you, then they'll give you that offer. The difference that I found between a regular a IT support role versus a admin role is that for IT support role, they really test on your technical skills and your people skills and your ability to communicate with clients and customers. But for a min role, I say they would look at your experience more and the projects and uh, experience that you have done, so that how you can use these past experience and projects to help with their organization. Because for admin roles, they are mostly project based, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
along with a little bit of technical support as well. So, and that's why I think that it was important to start in the help desk side, because as a systems admin, you would still have to assist with the help desk and and resolve escalated issues from them, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good point. So for us to, if somebody wants to start working in like admin, security,
Mm-hmm.
network side, cloud side of
Mm-hmm.
things, they want to get into IT. IT support is a really good way to get into it.
Exactly.
But for you to get the IT support, like you said, you can get the certifications, A
Mm-hmm.
plus, and
Mm-hmm.
all those certifications to start with.
Mm-hmm.
But you also need the people skill. That's something I really missed. Yeah, I missed about talking. Like I missed that point
Right.
of knowing a little bit of customer service ish,
Right.
because you still have to communicate with the users, the end users within the teams. You also and maybe outside the team sometimes as
Right.
well. Getting working in a support, experiencing that level in a company gives you more in-depth vision of what the company does, what your team does in the company,
Mm-hmm.
and like how does your team as a whole work. So like you, when the tickets comes in, the ticket, I guess for us, we through tickets we knew that like this is how things work in networking, this
Mm-hmm.
is how things work in the
Mm-hmm.
security side. So like as support, I guess you get a good overview of what the other teams does, and then you can, so like if somebody who has no plans for like for further advancement, or they don't know their end goal in their tech journey,
Mm-hmm.
they can start with IT support, and then they can explore what options they have by working on those tickets and everything, so they get more information on how IT works, how IT as a whole works, right?
Exactly. And I want to add add to that that just because you're in an IT support role, it doesn't mean that you're not important, or you're not just as important as an admin or security admin or network admin. You're just as important, because the feedback from the IT support side is very important as well. Because if you're just a cybersecurity specialist, you might not understand how users think and the experiences from the user. So it's important that the IT support department collaborates with other departments and plan out projects and just the overall experience for the end users. Right. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, all these departments are supposed to work together and give the best experience to everyone that works in the company, and
yeah.
that's how they can increase their productivity and also and that's how they can help the company, right?
Yeah, they call them the frontliners, right? So like, I guess
Exactly.
being the IT support,
Mm-hmm.
you are the communicator between the
Mm-hmm.
teams to the users and back and forth.
Exactly.
So you are the point of contact. You have all the information. You need to know how to communicate that information to the users.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing from the users to your team. So it's
Exactly.
back and forth both
Mm-hmm.
ways. So IT support, even though on a bigger perspective,
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the rest of the companies, maybe it's a non, because when we used to work in a non IT company,
Right.
for a non IT company, there's all different departments. There's always like there's marketing and all those departments, and
Yeah.
they don't think your job is as important, because they just think you're a support guy.
Yep.
You're just a guy who fixes computers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like that. It's
Yeah.
deeper. It's way deep than that.
Exactly. And the truth is that the IT support guy would know a lot more than anyone else in the company.
Yeah. So it's not just breaking fixing the computers and the devices that we do
Mm-hmm.
as an IT
Right.
support, but we used to do. We also talk about the access provisioning and everything side,
Right.
like access provisioning side of things, which people I don't think know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think a lot of people know how the access comes in. How does that work?
Exactly. Like just like you said, like the IT support guy would probably know more about license and the type of access that the end user need than the actual administrators that manages the license itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then there's talk about all the, like I said, the access request specifically with how we used to work it. Remember the other like the other teams would send us requests depending on their titles,
Right.
on depending on the apps.
Mm-hmm.
So go deeper into like there's different kind of apps and there's different kind of like titles and they need all those different kind of
Right.
permissions. How does that work? So like what I mean to say is, I guess let me be more clear.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can explain it more better.
Mm-hmm.
IT support role is not just supporting all these devices and the
Right.
people, not just reinstalling and installing softwares. It's also provisioning access to different kind of people in different kind of levels and
Yep.
different kind of applications.
Right.
So knowing all that, and communicating that to different kind of, not kind of, but different type of level of people in a company.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if you're supporting a VP,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that you're just gonna be coming to the office and maybe fixing his computer and stuff, but there's gonna be more to it. You're gonna be, if it's a VP, then like you have to manage that, make sure that their software, whatever software tools that they use online, they only have the access and not like their fellow teammates, and you have to make sure all that as well. So it's deeper. Like these
Exactly.
things people don't know yet.
Exactly. Like the IT support specialist will know a lot more of what the end user's needs are than anyone else in the company or any other IT department.
Yeah, and the admin role, right? So you say the admin role is more on the project side, system admin, network admin.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they don't talk much with users. What's their bigger job profile like?
Well, their job profile is more granular, right? Rather than targeting, let's say, like resolving issue, maybe like rather than resolving issues for a single person, you might be doing projects that are or more granular for the entire company. For
Right.
example, right now that there's a project that I'm dealing with would be the Windows 10 to Windows 11 migration, right? And that would affect every single person in the company rather than just upgrading a single person.
Can you explain the migration? So what is it?
Well, the migration,
So it's basically all users changing their lap or changing their OS from Windows 10 to Windows 11. It's a
exactly.
whole big project.
Exactly, and it's a pretty tight deadline right now because, as you know, Microsoft Windows 10 is sending support in October of 2025. So before that deadline, we would have to transition everyone from Windows 10 to Windows 11, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole upgrade process, and we work with a lot of other departments. We have a project manager that manages the project. For myself, my main role would be the would be the implementation
Right.
person.
Yeah.
In Intune, so we use Intune for to manage all our devices, and then we have the security teams that has to that has to work on the security assessment, and and we have the applications team that will have to make sure that all the enterprises apps or custom apps that they use are compatible with Windows
Right.
11. So it's a lot of we work a lot more with different departments, and we have to all collaborate together, and which would big changes to the entire company rather than just one person, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's big. I was talking about the interview process.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any key pointers that you have noticed? Because obviously, this is like your third or fourth job,
Mm-hmm.
and to get to this, you had to give maybe not hundreds, but that's me exaggerating, but
Right, right.
probably a lot of interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that you have any key pointers that you can give us?
Yes. Well, your resume is definitely important. You gotta make sure that your resume has the relevant keywords that are in the job, I guess, job application.
Right.
Um, you have to be honest with your skills, and you have to you have to you have to apply to every single job that you see.
Right.
Just because you don't think that you'll be qualified, that doesn't mean that they won't consider you. That doesn't mean that they won't train you for the job.
Right.
So
There's a lot of companies. They I think they're doing what's called character based hiring now,
Mm-hmm.
where they interview you, they ask you to come in, and of course, depending on the skill level that they need, if they think you are a really good candidate, if
Right.
they think that
Right.
your personality is good, if they think that their job profile would set you fit in their job profile,
Mm-hmm.
they would consider you. And even if you're a little less technical, it's okay because they know that there's already work that we know, there's already things. I mean, if this guy is smart enough, if the person that they're hiring is smart enough, if they know that this guy's character is good, overall, even if the technical side is a little less, they'll still hire you because you have the other skills, you have the communication skills, and you have all the other things that they need. So don't be afraid. You're right. Yeah, don't be afraid. Just keep on applying. Check. Obviously, you don't want to go crazy on, like, you don't want to be applying on all the titles on all the jobs that you see, but anything that that's similar to your job application or job resume, then you want to go for it and just apply. Don't think too much. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. And I truly believe that half of the time is it's based on your technical skill, and the other half is based on your character.
Yeah.
And if you put someone that, if you, let's say if you have 50% character and 50% technical skill, and versus the other person that has, let's say, 70% technical and he's 30% in the character side, they will definitely pick the one that's more balanced.
Yeah, and this goes for all levels, right? In IT, it's not just the support side or admin side. The character thing, I think, goes for all level as a whole.
Exactly. And I feel like that is just, um, I think that will apply for other career paths as well. Like in, of course, I have not worked in other career paths, but in IT, it's extremely important to have that.
Yeah, because it's not just the tech. They just don't want to see that you're just a smart guy who can do
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
anything, but they also want to know that you're a guy who, if under pressure comes, then you can, kind of navigate through that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Who understand, who can improvise things as they go, and so they really want to know, like, your character. Now, when they interview you, they kind of like ask you questions. They're just not technical, right? It could be all kind of questions, and it could be
Yeah.
they could be testing you for, like, not just technical. It could be tricky questions and everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yep. And one thing I want to add is that it's important that you can say that you don't know something. It's fine that you don't know something. If in an interview you can say that you don't know it, but you can look it up, or you can even ask questions. Be like, I really don't know. Could you explain that to me, right?
Have you had one like this before?
I have, yes, and I have done that before.
So how did you navigate? Like, how do you navigate through that? How do you?
I would say I could give a very good guess on it. I'm not 100% what the answer is to that, but I can give a good guess on it. Or if you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Right.
I'd love to know the answer for that.
Yeah, I have also had that in my interview as well,
Mm-hmm.
where he asked me some sort of trick question,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the question itself was a little wrong. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think, maybe the way he asked.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the person who's interviewing us, he has way more experience than us.
Right. Right.
He has seen, like, a lot of us, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you cannot outsmart him. So you also want to make sure that when you're interviewing, you're not the smartest guy in the room. You don't want to do
Right.
that. So it's okay for you to go. Just be honest. They're looking specifically towards honesty. It's not
Exactly.
the answer they're looking for. They're looking for
Exactly.
if the guy is honest. So like you said, yeah, you can just be like, I don't know the answer to this, but hey, if a problem comes, you also want to make sure that you just don't say, I don't know the answer to this, but you also want to make sure that you tell him that you don't know the answer, but something in the past like this you might have worked on,
Mm-hmm.
so this could be the case. So you don't want to just go, I don't know about this, I don't know the answer, but you can say that I don't know about this, but this is how I had in the past, or this is how kind of I would approach a similar problem like this. So it's okay for you to say that. It actually,
Exactly. And that all goes back into your character, right?
yeah.
They want to make sure that you are someone that they can work with, and that and collaborate with you, right?
Yeah. Nice. So, because we're on the topic of IT again, so I'm gonna keep on continuing
Okay, sure.
because
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
just been working on.
of course.
We talked about the interview process.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember anything specific with the current interview that you're giving? Because obviously the past interviews was kind of you getting into IT,
Mm-hmm.
getting learning the job,
Mm-hmm.
learning the job as a whole, IT as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
what do you think changes over time as you gain more knowledge in interview process specifically?
Um, well, I can speak for my for the role that I'm currently working for, right? The role that I'm currently working for, that um, uh, the hiring manager was very good and nice. The interview process was very smooth, and because he also came from that IT background, he also came from that user facing, and then into the systems I'm in, and then eventually became a manager. So he understands that you might not know everything, and that's okay. Um, but but they will train you for it, and you're expected to learn from it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's I feel like it also matters, obviously the team you work with and the manager you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a huge difference, because
Yeah.
I've had in past experience, like we everybody experiences this at some point, where
Right.
like their managers is like maybe micromanaging you or keeping an eye on, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a healthy environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So but like I know if you get a team, like if you get good teammates, if you get a good manager,
Mm-hmm.
that's good. Like it's also a blessing as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think is the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, not of course not for you, but like, do you think that's the case in general? Like, because sometimes I've had those bad experiences
Right.
where because of a bad management, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was way past in the past.
Right.
Because what happens is you don't feel confident about making mistakes at
Mm-hmm.
work. When it's not that you're planning to make mistakes,
Right.
but it's IT. Things are gonna break. Things are always
Right.
gonna be,
Right.
you're gonna be fixing it.
Yep.
But if the team is comfortable, if the manager is comfortable, then you're okay to ask silly questions. You're okay
Exactly.
to fall down, and of course you don't expect them to pick you up, but they're there. Knowing that the team is there, knowing the manager is there, it helps.
Yeah.
It's a
That
blessing.
that that is definitely true. It really affects your having a good manager could really put a positive impact in your career for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Not just the career in the company, but like as a career as a whole, right? In
Exactly,
IT.
because having the right manager could improve basically everything, right? From learning, from making mistakes, um, career development.
Yeah,
Um, it just makes a positive impact in your entire IT career as a
yeah.
whole.
Are you preparing for any certifications right now, or what do you do? Like, is it
Um,
just is it one of those things where you just study certifications and now you're in the career, so you're just expanding further career, or do you, like, are you still learning on the side?
I am always learning on the side, and now that you brought it up, I've not been really studying for new certifications because I recently transitioned to this new job. I'm actually still learning in the job. Learning, I'm actually learning a lot more from the job itself than maybe just studying certifications. Let's just say that. And well, I do plan to earn more certifications and study for more certifications. But at the moment, I like to focus on learning at the shop.
Right.
I have a few certifications that I've taken in the past, which really helped me in finding and growing my career.
What were those?
The main certification that I had was Modern Desktop Administration, which is that I think that's the old name for it, MD 101 and MD 100. So that certification was crucial to my career. It got my first systems and desktop administrator role, um, and so that it had a really good impact on my career.
Nice. Um, what do you feel about the job market right now?
The job market right now, I feel like it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
I feel like it's tough because, um, yes, of course, a lot of people want to get into IT, and to to start in IT. I say it's tough for those people that are trying to get into IT because a lot of people are fighting for the entry role. But I feel like for those people that has a lot more experience in IT, because they have good knowledge in different paths, there's more options for them. Like I said, like you
Yeah.
can expand into network servers or cloud or administration, right?
Yeah.
But for those people that are trying to get into an entry IT position, they don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
But if if that's something that you're passionate for and you enjoy and you want to get into, everything is a possibility.
Yeah.
Even when I had my first job, it was really difficult at that time, but I had no experience. No experience. You just got to keep applying for it and keep learning.
Right. And then as you apply, as you go, it kind of like you give more interviews, and then you kind of know that's the only way. You have to keep on giving interviews,
Exactly.
and then that's how you know that you can learn as you go with the
Hmm.
interviews.
Hmm.
And just Google things, man. Just Google it. Just
Exactly.
Google questions that
Exactly.
the HR is gonna ask, and right, like just Google questions, like the simple questions that they ask. There's like things like like positives and negatives, all those basic questions, first round questions.
Hmm.
You can always get them through Google, and like those should be easy to clear, right? Like pretty
Yeah.
much, because those are obvious questions pretty much that they all ask, and they're just screening you. Said it's just a screening questions. So
Yeah.
do you use ChatGPT? I wanted to ask. I'm curious about how ChatGPT, like, do you use that in your job or personal life right now? Like, how's
I do use ChatGPT, yes, because um, you have to adapt to newer technologies,
right?
right? Someone else could be using it, and if you don't, that person is typing an essay, typing a whole 10-page essay in maybe like an hour with ChatGPT. But if you sit there and type and not use ChatGPT, you could be using up your entire week
Yeah,
versus someone just did it in an hour.
yeah,
So yes, I do use ChatGPT. I also use Copilot.
yeah.
I use Copilot mainly for our job because we're in the Microsoft space, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think the Chat GPTs, how they help, or the AI tools, how they
Hmm.
help you is, I don't think you have to, or for the viewers, I guess, I don't think
Hmm.
you have to worry about it in a way where it's going to take your jobs and stuff. But I think it's more like a friend of yours who's gonna keep you, like, who's gonna help you in everything, making everything nice and perfect and
Exactly.
organized.
Yeah.
It's not gonna take over your job. I think it's gonna
No.
be a helper, which is gonna optimize your work.
Yeah. Like I don't think ChatGPT or these AI bots are going to entirely destroy all of our jobs because, like for example, like the IT support role, IT support job, like there are hundreds and hundreds of possibilities and scenarios that these chatbots cannot resolve. Like, but you could ask these chatbots for information, which could help you resolve. So yes, it is a tool that would help you in your job. It's not going to take your job, but
Yeah, use it as a tool.
exactly, it's just like Google, right? Like use it as a tool to help your job,
Yeah.
but like it's not going to take your job.
Yeah, I also noticed something that you spoke about, being passionate. That's something I caught when you were
Hmm.
speaking, and I want to highlight that part, because I think IT, the field we have,
Hmm.
is a little different from the other fields. My
Yes.
wife works in medical and then finance and all that. Those fields, maybe may not. You can take them at home. Maybe you can do your personal growth with that in that field, maybe not. But for IT, you always have your computer with you. You always have those free tools out there, free certifications out there. It's about you and how much you want to involve and how much you want to learn. And as much as you involve yourself, that's how much you can get out of it. So do you see IT as just a thing to make money, like just a job, or how do you see IT as a whole?
Well, it's both for your personal gains and also for what you enjoy doing. Like, of course, everyone works because they need the money. Let's just
Yeah,
be honest.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone, yeah. And the other side is, if if you enjoy it, you have to really enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy it, it's going to be miserable for you because the IT space, it moves really quickly. If you don't keep up with the latest
yeah.
technology and news, and continue studying and educating yourself, you will fall behind. And other people, and it would be more competitive for yourself. And you know, a lot of people are trying to get into the market, and you have to keep learning. If you don't, you'll fall behind, and other people are going to take your job.
Yeah, because that's just the field you are in. So it's
Yeah.
just IT is going to be continuous growth, continuous improvements. like old things going away. So you have to, one of the things that you have to be prepared and you have to learn, or teach
Mm-hmm.
yourself to learn
Mm-hmm.
is the improvement. So it's the changing part. So like you have to be open to the thinking of changing. You can come tomorrow at work and things might have changed. The next day it might have changed again. So
Exactly.
you cannot be like, oh, this again. Now I gotta, no,
Yeah,
you can't.
nothing in IT repeats itself. Like it's every you see things differently every single day, and you just have to be curious. Being
Yeah,
curious is extremely important in IT. You know, you're always thinking like, how does this and how does this work? And if you don't know, Google it.
yeah,
Ask a chatbot, how does this and this put together? How they work together, right?
yeah.
Um,
There's no silly questions in Google.
exactly. No.
Yeah, no silly questions in
Yeah.
Google. Yeah, you gotta make friends with all those tools, and you just gotta keep using
Exactly.
it. You gotta
Uh
know
huh.
how to use them.
These chatbots are also a very good learning tool, right?
Yeah,
You can ask them how does this work, what is this new technology, or even explain this code for me,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
They'll explain it pretty well. Of course, you have to do some fact checking as well, but
yeah,
it helps a lot with learning.
yeah. Okay, now enough about IT. What else do you do without IT? Like in your regular life?
In my regular life, I've been trying to incorporate some activities in my life because you work in the IT space, you're always sitting there. I used to you know when I was working from home, I still work from home sometimes, but you would sit there for 8 hours and then you would go eat something and then you play video games for another 8 hours and then you go to bed and you repeat the next day and over again.
Yeah,
But I've been trying to incorporate some workout sessions after work or play badminton,
yeah,
stuff like that. So that will
yeah,
keep me active.
yeah.
Yeah,
And because you also were filming this in Toronto.
yeah.
It's not in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently moved to Ottawa,
Right.
but like I do miss Toronto a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
Toronto is just, when I was driving back from Ottawa to
Right.
Toronto, I saw the skyline and everything, and I'm like, the city, like it's full.
That's home for you, right?
It's home for me. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I always say that it's not a city. It's an addiction for me. So like I went to Prince Edward Island. You know about this, right?
Yeah,
I went
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
PEI for my permanent
yeah,
residence, and then I got my PR over there, and then I came
yeah.
back. I always keep on coming back in Toronto, man, because Toronto is something.
So why don't you move back? Well,
I don't know with Ottawa. Let's see how it goes with the new house and
okay.
everything. Yeah, I'm still getting the hang of it. I think Ottawa is something that I needed in my life,
Hmm.
in terms of I needed that space from, like, because here I was between with my friends and family and
Right.
everything all the time. So I kind of needed that space for me to like start the podcasting and everything, get in in the mind space of like me, my personal space, and I can think and I can do things where I don't have to explain to like all the, because you know how like our cultures are similar, right? Like we're
Right.
so social. It's
Right.
the same thing for you too.
Right.
We always talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have to answer to your families and
Oh,
you
okay.
answer to
Okay.
your
Yeah.
uncles and aunts.
I totally understand you. Yeah, having that, that alone time, I would say, right? You can really focus on what you want to do, and I guess overall, Ottawa is a quieter place or a cozy and chill place
Yeah,
that they can just stay home and get stuff done. Rather than if you're in Toronto, you're probably just sporting, right?
yeah. How do you call it, just partying? You said.
Partying.
Just party all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, parties, man. I miss them. Yeah, and when we were talking when we used to work, you also spoke about. I think you also were planning to buy a house or something. Did you
Yeah.
already buy it? End up buying it,
I've
or
not. I the interest has raised so much in the previous year or two that it's turned housing is quite unaffordable in Toronto. Let's just say
yeah,
that. You would have to make a large salary to be approved for a mortgage in Toronto.
yeah? Can you give like a rough estimate of how much salary you would want to? Of course, we don't want to know about you, but like, can you
Right.
give a rough estimate of how Toronto market, like housing market, is? Yeah, compared to.
Yeah. So if you are looking for, let's say if you're living by yourself, you're probably just looking for a condo, right? For a condo, you're looking at a minimum of, I say like minimum of $600,000, right?
Yeah,
And to qualify for that mortgage, you would probably have to make, so you usually use your salary, and then you would be approved by times four of that salary for your mortgage. So let's say if you're making 100 grand, so the easy math is 4 times 100. So you'll be approved for like 400 grand. But then you would have, so then if you're buying something that's for $600,000, you would need to come up with $200,000 down payment.
Yeah.
And then your monthly payment right now at a, let's say, being more conservative, a 4.5% interest rate, you're looking at probably around $3,000 for your mortgage, and then plus maintenance fee, with all the other utilities and expense. You're looking at around $4 to $5,000 just for a one-person condo.
Yeah.
So, and if you're only making 100K, your take home is probably around $5 to $6,000. So that means that all your money are going into the condo
Yeah.
without anything else left.
Hey, you pay all that, and then you get to see the CN Tower. So
It's, well, if that's something that you like and if you think it's worth it, sure, go for it.
I don't know. I can't imagine people who would think that's worth it. But hey,
Exactly.
people are like young people. I think because I've seen people live here. I've seen young people, young couples live in Toronto,
Hmm.
and I've always wondered. It's like, yes, if they live on rent or whatever, I still wonder how can they afford rent over
Hmm.
here. But
Hmm.
yeah, okay, if they live on rent, that's fine. But how would they own a place? Why would they own a place in Toronto downtown? It's like I've always wondered. But it makes sense because if you're a young, if you're a couple, like
Right.
whatever, and then you're making good money. So
Hmm.
like if
Hmm.
you're like a university grad or
Hmm.
whatever, um, and, and if your family is generations, you guys are living from here because it's different. It's different for first second generation immigrants, but
Hmm.
it's different for people who are living here from generationally, right? Like they have all that knowledge of what to do, what not to do, so they
Yeah.
can, like if they're a young couple, whatever, they're making good money, good, they probably studying a good university, making
Right.
good money, they're
Right.
probably like a VP, good title on a good company, they can afford it, no
Exactly.
problem.
Exactly.
They got life in front of
Yeah.
them, yeah, why not?
If Yeah, exactly. But like if you're just making just a regular person, it's extremely tough.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I cannot imagine me living here because I think for me the mentality comes in. It's not worth it. It's not just the money. It's the worth part. Like I wouldn't want to live in a condo, pay all that.
That, yes, that's my exact thought process. I would rather live in a house than a condo.
Yeah,
And that's why I've been, not that's why I've been inactive in the market for so long, is because I want the house rather than the condo.
yeah,
Um, and I like in the condo market, it's not in its best state right now.
yeah. Do you think like yeah, at some point you're probably gonna be like buying. Do you think you would want to buy it within Toronto area, or do you want to buy it a little further than Toronto? Like how do you plan to buy, because obviously in Toronto it's going to be almost next to impossible to get
Yeah,
on one person salary ish, right?
yeah,
So of course you're gonna like, of course you get married, and like if she's
exactly.
working, blah blah blah, then it's a different case.
Honestly, I'm not sure yet
Yeah,
because I am not married, so
right.
so
You're just living.
everything can be changed, right?
Yeah,
When
just
that
living.
happens, when you have a family, it's different. When you
Yeah,
start a family, it's different.
yeah,
Like just
yeah,
like you, right? You would,
yeah. Things changes, right?
exactly.
And then it's two people, and then you gotta consider everything.
Yeah, like
And then
I would never think that you would be in Ottawa, right?
yeah, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But it's cheaper over there. It's cheaper
Mm-hmm.
compared to
Mm-hmm.
Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So and then when I moved, that was the thing. Like I was a little here. I thought I might be like, I don't know when I'm gonna be able to afford a house, and like I'm by myself. I don't have a family here, so who cares? Like I can move to Ottawa, and I have friends and family, like friends who are like family in
Right.
Ottawa. They have their houses and everything. So the only concern I had was if I moved down to Ottawa, would I be able to do socialize? Like I don't
Mm.
want to get bored. Of course, I want to do all the other things, IT and everything else,
Right.
but
Right.
I also want people around me, right? But that was a blessing that I had friends.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I probably would not have moved away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then I also wonder what I would have done in Toronto. Like I wouldn't have been able to afford it. I would have to move away to like Hamilton or some other city to be
Right.
able to just buy like a townhouse or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a weird market out there. But this is how it is.
Yeah. You just gotta live life, right? Like
Yeah,
it is what it is. You just gotta adapt to it and make a good balance of it, and decide for yourself and
yeah,
what makes work for you.
yeah. Would your family want you to move away? If do you want to move away from the city or?
I can't imagine myself moving away from my friends and family,
Yeah,
so it's a very low possibility of me moving out of GTA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just had something in my notes here, and this was not like a question or anything, but I was just thinking about we were talking about how the co-workers and how you like it's good that you have good co-workers
Right.
which you can get comfortable around,
Mm-hmm.
and I recall how we used to do those lunch trips and everything
Yes.
together
Yeah. Yeah.
at the burrito
Uh
Mexican
huh.
place,
Uh huh.
where it was a Mexican place, but everybody was Indian working inside. So we were basically getting Indian Mexican burritos.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so that was fun
Yeah.
times. Yeah. Do you like still do the same thing with your coworkers here? Is
Yeah.
it like
I do that sometimes.
yeah,
But it really depends on the company that you're working for as well. If there's more working from home, then you get your chances of seeing your coworker is less. But yeah, I definitely miss those times. I love socializing and going out with my friends and coworkers. So um, just chatting with them makes me happy
yeah,
and seeing their faces. So I miss those times. Yeah.
yeah? Do you do that right now? Like, do you after work and stuff? It's Toronto, man. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing that I missed about Toronto is it's open Saturday nights, Friday nights, parties, lights. It's not the same thing in Ottawa, and it's not the same thing
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
places in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you recognize that, and do you feel your privilege, and do you enjoy the whole of it?
Yeah, definitely. I enjoy it. Yeah, like if you work in the downtown core, you can there's bars and stuff everywhere, and there's food places everywhere. So you can just right after work, you just go out. Even lunchtime, you can go out together and find some nice places and explore. Right?
Yeah, it's by the shore too. Summertime is really nice, so I like
Yeah.
that about Toronto as well. I talk about Toronto because the viewers might not know, like there could be
Okay,
people.
they think that you're
Um,
still talking about Ottawa.
yeah, and I speak in details about Toronto
Uh
as
huh.
well because there could be like people who are um, the target audience that I'm hoping for is those people who are maybe from back home, like me, who had no knowledge of
Okay.
how Canada is, who have no knowledge of how Ottawa is. When I came to Canada like 10, 11 years ago, it's so silly to know, but like I did not even know the coffee here they make is out of water. Like I had no idea. I don't know what a donut
Okay.
was. I don't know what a muffin
Uh,
is. Nothing. No idea at all, and there was no knowledge. There was no knowledge
I
sharing
see.
at that place where
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming from. Like I had no idea. I knew that there's courses, there's studying, and it was all like how it is in back home, right? It's just Canada, North America. You see all that glitter and everything, and then you want to go. But then I came here and I had no idea. So
Yeah.
like I wish if there was somebody who would be sharing all these knowledge and who can kind of give an overview of how it looks like. So it's good to have like it's that's why I ask you in details on how Toronto is and how do you feel about Toronto? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like you said, one good thing about Toronto is that it's very diverse. Like,
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
they have amazing. They have different cultures. They have Chinese people, they have Indian people, they have Korean people. People are from everywhere in Toronto, and because of there's so many different cultures, we have a lot of food options.
Yeah, and a lot of options. Burgers.
Exactly, there's a lot of food options, and that's probably my favorite part about Toronto is that there's food, a lot of food, and you can explore endlessly here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because when I moved to Ottawa, that was one of my concerns. It's still a lot of people in Ottawa. It's not like it's a small town where
right.
there's less people. Still a lot of people, but it's not as much diverse. Nothing compared to Toronto.
Hmm.
So I feel like that's where Toronto gets benefit where because of the diversity, you get all the food options,
Yeah,
you get all the different options of going out and such and like things like that.
yeah,
So because in Ottawa, it's only you can either go to bars, clubs, and then like do all the normal stuff that
yeah.
like Canadians, North
Uh huh.
America culture does. But in big cities like Toronto, maybe Calgary, maybe Vancouver, just because of the kind of people there is here, you can find all kind of like there's all kind of things. There's like karaoke, this, that, everything. So like you don't have to just stay stuck on one thing. You get all the options
Yeah,
and you get
exactly.
to
And it's kind of funny because we have different groups in different places. Like for example, Markham, Richmond Hill is really it's a lot of Chinese people and Asians,
yeah,
and then in Norfolk you have a whole variety of like mix, and then in downtown it's also a good variety of mix,
yeah.
and then so if you want to explore different stuff,
You forgot about
oh
Brampton.
sorry about that. Brampton and Mississauga. So if you want to, experience different stuff, like
Yeah.
you can hop town to town and get a taste of everything, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's kind of what the view is for the people outsiders. That's how Toronto is,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the city very much. Um, I wanted to talk about this is something I asked to everybody. You don't have to be specific,
Okay.
but now that at this point, this age, you have a good salary coming in, a good job, decent job, and such. How do you manage your paycheck? So talk to me about you get $100 in your paycheck. How do you spend that?
Because my expense is relatively low at the moment, so I try to keep my let me do some calculations in my head first because I
Yeah,
never really thought of that.
yeah.
I actually don't have a exact budget that I
Right.
plan every month.
So
but
yeah, no, go ahead.
but I do know how much I'm spending every month, and I try to keep that under control.
Okay.
Like for example, if I have a big purchase that I want,
Yeah.
I would think how much money am I spending this month or the previous month? How much money can I spend less so that I can make that next big purchase, right?
Yeah.
I would say that I would spend um, I can't do math right now.
It's okay. It's okay. So what I wanted to
Yeah.
know is the investment side of it, kind of,
Mhm.
because like the money that goes. You live in a city like this, or anybody for anybody. How do you manage your savings and investments?
Okay, well, I can not speaking for myself,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
let's just say the best um, the best thing that you should do,
Yeah.
is to max out your. If you're looking to buy a house, you should max out your FHSA. That's your first home savings account.
Mhm.
I believe that every year you can contribute 8,000 to it
Yes.
on a maximum of $40,000.
Yes.
So if you're looking to buy a house, you should max that out first every year, and then the next thing that you should max out is your tax-free savings account.
TFSA. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think within the TFSA you can also invest money and stuff. So where you can, depending on where you want to invest,
So
yeah.
yeah, these two accounts is probably the one of the biggest benefits in Canada because all your investments in these accounts are tax free, and it keeps as it grows, you're not paying any tax on it.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, because I know when we used to work together, we used to like talk about investments and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I was curious on like what investments and how does the savings kind of work. Now this is we talked about the things that I already knew. Let's talk about talk to me about your back home, your culture. When was the last time you went back home?
It's been a while. It's
Where's
been
your
a
back
while.
home?
I live my hometown is in China,
Okay.
China Guangdong.
Yeah.
I haven't been back in a while, so but I know that a lot of things have been changed.
Right.
It's they have like bullet trains or something or everywhere.
Yeah.
Their subway system has massively improved.
Yeah.
Because of how big of a country they are.
Right.
So
Yeah, this is kind of do you think there's anything that we're missing that we could be covering, talking about? I don't know a lot about like because I only know what I know.
Right.
And that's the only thing I can ask for. But please go ahead and tell me if you have anything that.
I guess I can ask you some questions as you've been doing all the talking on all these stuff, right?
What is it? Sorry.
I guess I can ask you some questions because you've been asking me questions.
My wife was always, she's like, somebody need to do your podcast. I'm like,
yeah. You should get someone else to ask you the question, right? And
I'm up for it. This is a
Right.
conversation. My goal is to get to the viewers as real as we can. So yeah, please go ahead.
Well, I don't really know what you're currently doing for your job. So why don't you tell me about what you currently do and
Yeah.
and what sort of industry or company you work for?
Yeah. I work as a systems analyst.
Mhm.
That's my title right now.
Mhm.
What systems analyst job is depending on the company you work on.
Mhm.
I work in an IT company,
Right.
so it's different. I feel like before we used to work in a retail company, and now it's IT company.
Okay.
The difference. Let me just start with the difference first. In retail company, IT is a team. There's always like, and then within the IT team, you do your thing. So your domain is just that IT team. And there's always like marketing and then different product team and all that team. Pretty much the same teams in IT as well, but the difference is everybody in the other teams, they all know the terms that you're talking about. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
language that goes on
Mm-hmm.
in the IT company. At least that's what I understood.
Right.
So it's really good to work in an IT company, in the IT environment, so you know what's going on in a bigger picture. So you
Right.
know how the company I work with right now, or the company I work for, they sell a software. Now,
Right.
so how it is for me as a systems analyst to be able to do that software, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to for the software to work. There's also a lot of small softwares. We call them tools that the
Yes.
company contracts. So
Yes.
they bring in like contracts and they bring in all these other tools, and I have to kind of manage all that. So systems analyst job overall is to analyze the systems
Right.
that he works with.
Mm-hmm.
So contracting and reporting to make sure all that. So there's always things that comes from above from your manager and all that. So you have to it's not so much of a user based work. I don't have to deal with users as much. It's mostly the consultants, the people outside the company.
I
So
see.
different companies. I could be work like systems analyst job is to communicate with people outside the
I
company, and
see.
then to deal with all like
Mm.
to work on that. So that's yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Are you enjoying it so far? How long you been there for?
A few months
Few
only.
months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I went to Ottawa, and Ottawa's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I believe the last time we met, you were still single, but now you are married with a house. So tell me about your relationship and how you got to how you moved to Ottawa and
What do
stuff.
you want to know about the relationship?
I don't know
Do you want to
how.
get any tips? Do you want
Yeah,
to know
yeah.
how the marriage?
I would love some tips from you.
What kind of tips do you want to
I don't
get?
know anything you can give.
No, it's good to get like once you for us how the Indian community and everything works
Yeah.
is um, compared to North Americans, you get married early. So it goes on stages. We don't. It's not the age that Indians or us see,
Right.
or the parents see. It's the stages. So like they think they know that I came as a student. Now I have my permanent residence. Now I'm a citizen here. So now I'm ready to get married and to start that life, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's how it works in India as a whole. So now everybody starts pressuring you to like find somebody and get
I
married
see.
and blah blah
Okay.
blah. And obviously mine wasn't an arranged marriage, if that's what you're wondering, because my friends has always wondered. They're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the people who I work with, they're always like,
Right.
oh, you must have been arranged marriage, you must have been. But I mean, maybe I am arranged.
Okay.
Because the reason is how the arranged marriage concept works. Let me just talk to you about that,
Sure.
just so the viewers can know.
Okay.
Arranged marriage in India is not like they find a girl for and you just have to get married to it. The concept behind it is families knows families. So my like because we're so social, I think it's the same thing as you as well. Actually,
Right.
same as Chinese
Yeah.
people. Um, Everybody knows everybody in the community. So like the town I come from, my parents, their parents, really good chance that my grandparents would know if it's the same town. You know what I mean? Like if it's
Yes.
a smaller town,
Yes.
everybody comes from like small towns
Right.
and then they move to like big cities and stuff.
Right.
But their roots are still in the small town.
I see.
So that's kind of how the arranged marriage works. They the parents track back the roots. So they like the parents talks to the other parents and then maybe they like the fathers and they're like, okay, is there like do you have a girl, like is there, they look for a girl, they look
I
for
see. Okay.
people who like how it worked for in my case was my father he was in the office with another friend of his just randomly, and they started talking about how I was in Canada and how my father's friend's daughter was also in Canada. So they started talking, and they're just like, "Oh, my parents told me that there's this girl I might want to check out," and start talking. And then the my wife's parents also told her the same thing. But then we kind of got connected here in Toronto. We spoke on chats a little bit, but then we stopped talking. And then after a few months, we started talking again. But the parents didn't know. Like
I
it was
see.
one of those
Okay.
things. That's why I'm like always confused with if somebody asked if I was an arranged marriage case, or if it was like how is it?
Okay.
Well, it was different for me. So like you bond, and then so it's not one of those things where your parents tell you to marry and you just get married. The concept behind is the parents, the grandparents knows
It's more of
everybody
like
in the
a
yeah
introductions.
Yeah, it's more like an introduction. They're
Yeah.
like, okay, because my grandparents knows their grandparents, so they're like, okay, we know the family of the girl, and the family is really good overall and everything. And then the marriage is probably gonna get like, they know the family. That's why
Right.
they're like, okay, we know the family, so the roots, the girl must be good and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And then they kind of ask you to talk, and then if you're comfortable, good. But that's kind of how your parents tell you. They kind of push you to check out, and then that's kind of how the arranged marriage concept works. Of course, it goes deeper in India. There's like, in small towns, small mentalities where there's no more education, there's not a lot of education. Yes, they just force two people to get married and things like that. It's just still going. India is huge, man. There's like a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
culture and everything, right? But this is the base point of arranged marriage. Now, that's kind of how I got in contact with her. We started talking, we bonded really good. She was already like in Canada, so it was good.
Uh huh.
We were meeting and everything. We met. Um, we did it for like a year-ish, and then we told our parents that okay, everything is good. We like, now we told them that we're talking and we're bonded, and we
Yeah.
want to take it further. And that's kind of how it works. They want you to get married in soon so you can start your family and
I
everything.
see.
They want their son, daughter, to start taking on the responsibility. It's the point of getting married comparatively from here a little early. When I say early, it's like when you're between 25 to 30 years old. When you
Right.
cross 30, 35, it's like everybody, the society is just like, oh, you're already like 32, 35. How come he's not married yet?
Uh
It's
huh.
just one of those culture things.
Yeah.
So for me, it was good we did it for a year and stuff, and then she was like 23, 24, and I was like 27 ish, whatever. And they're like, if you guys are okay with marriage, let's just go ahead with marriage and then start that responsibility. And I think that helped me in a way where, man, you when you were a bachelor, you know how it is, right? You just Friday nights, Saturday nights,
Right.
and
Right.
probably the life you're living. But
Uh huh.
then things changes
Yep.
because now you're a responsible guy. At least in your head, you are.
Are you though?
So you know. But
Yeah.
then I think the whole concept behind this is now it's the next stage of your life. So now, like, now that you've married and everything, I think you look further and you kind of take that past life
Mm-hmm.
where you just like, you try to get disciplined a little more, and
Okay. Just a little bit
in
more.
your sense, just a little bit more, just a little more,
Not too much. Okay.
because you're still in that transition period. I'm still in like my first three few years of marriage, so I'm still like a little bachelor, a little married, the whole thing. Obviously, I'm not gonna, and I'm still learning. That process is still going. Once you get married, it's not a thing where, because divorces and things are very less in our culture. Marriages stay
Yes.
for a long, long
Yeah.
time, right? We don't, the concept of the divorces, it's now coming in Indian culture, but it wasn't that popular always, right? So there's I think that's one of the reasons the marriages stay is you get like, yeah, you get married and everything, and you're basically responsible now, and you have to make sure that now that you both are working together, building a life, you look forward. That's the concept of it. You don't want to go keep on going back on your bad habits, old habits, because like we're young. We come from a different country to a different good country. You make good money, and you want to enjoy. You want to spend, and sometimes you enjoy a little more. So I think this is one of the stages. Yeah, yeah.
That's a
It
great
changes
point.
you in a
Yeah.
way where you're more responsible. You think, and then you move forward. You at least have a vision of your, like
I
how
get
I'm
what you
doing,
mean.
like how I'm doing right now. I'm
Exactly. You
thinking
know.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great story. And I'm happy for you.
Thanks, man.
That's a lot of positive change in your life, and that's
Yeah.
what needs to push you to the next stage. And you are at that next stage. So
Thanks, man.
congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. Um, I guess this was quick.
That was quick.
Yeah,
That was a quick.
but this was no problem.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to do a lot more podcasts than this.
Uh huh.
As we go, of course, we're gonna keep in touch, and we're gonna be doing more. I hope this grows, and I hope we can share information to the people. Um, this was quick. Why I think is not like, if we were to talk about like people and everything, we could have gone
Oh
forever.
yes, yes, yes.
But my goal in this podcast is, I'm sure there's somebody like me who doesn't know nothing about nothing,
Right.
who can probably watch this podcast and who can know some things at least,
Uh huh.
and then they can kind of start thinking in terms of their lives. So my goal in this podcasting is sharing information of whatever we have gained, because like you said, there's a lot of things that you have gained in IT. You just spoke about IT and the careers, right? But there's probably a lot of information there for a lot of people, and just bring it to them real, just
Right,
real how
right,
it is,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there? So this is something I usually ask to everybody.
Uh-huh.
Um, what is it that you have learned from your journey in your life or IT that you would want to give to our viewers? Yeah.
In IT is always be curious. Um, Learn to say no, and and there's always more to learn. That's IT.
Yeah.
For personal life, I don't really have any sort of advice for that, honestly. uh, for personal life, I feel that there's always ups and downs. The downs are going to be hard, but as time goes by, it will get easier. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I hope it gets easier for you, and I hope you do great, man. This is awesome. I liked it, and I hope to see you next time soon.
it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for
much.
coming, man. Appreciate it. My hands are fucking sweaty.